Hi, I'm Dr. Rajshri Pandya, a holistic health coach and a consulting nutrigenomist. I help people with quantified nutrition, lifestyle changes, and a very latest nutrigenomics where you understand how genes react with the food what you eat. And with this, I help not only to shred those extra weight, but to help in maintaining your hormonal balance, mental wellness, and also achieve the optimal level of health and fitness. For me, fitness is a passion. I completely believe that no one diet plan actually fits for all. No generic plan works for all. No workout, one single workout plan is suited for everybody. So you know everyone is unique with their own unique makeup and genetic blueprint. And the diet also needs to reflect this. And that is where the role of nutrigenomics comes in.
So, have you ever wondered that one can actually gain weight even after taking one single dessert? And most of the people who keep eating sweets every day but still do not have any problem. They just stay with their weight.
Exactly. And have you ever wondered how people can have a peaceful night's sleep after having a cup of coffee at around 10 p.m. or 11 p.m.? And a person who has a cup of coffee, some people at around 6 p.m., they suffer from sleepless nights.
Sleeplessness,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, I think it's all to do with something called as our genes. And who knows better, who can actually explain us that actual genomics, that is what we want to know about, is
Yeah.
called nutrigenomics.
Yeah.
We welcome Dr. Rajshri Pandya. Dr. Rajshri Pandya, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Satyajit, Dr. Avinash, for inviting me. This it's pleasure to be over here and be a part of the health code and give the piece of my knowledge. I'm really looking forward, and I hope the viewers have some good takeaways after this podcast. And so, basically, I'll let you know what basically I do. I'm Dr. Rajshri Pandya. I'm a holistic health coach and a certified nutrigenomist. And over decades, I have helped people with right lifestyle, quantified nutrition, and something now very latest, that is nutrigenomics, where you understand how your genes are interacting with the daily food intake what you do. And with this, you just not only shred weight, but it helps you to restore your hormonal imbalance. It helps you to get your optimum level of mental wellness and also the metabolic health. Because I believe that no, there is no one shoe fits all. That's the way. There is no one diet plan that can fit all. It's no generic thing. It has to be individualized and personalized. So that is how it
Now,
is.
this question that comes to us, that that is nutrition, and genomics is to do with your genes. So I
Exactly.
can relate that completely. But I seriously want to understand that how you really can ask your genes to guide you to nourishment. This is what you're trying to say. So, what is the way that we can find out, and how do you do that?
Yes. So this word may be sounding very complicated or a little tongue twisting, nutrigenomics. But as you rightly explained, if we split it, nutri is nutrition and genomics is to do something with genetics. So nutrigenomics is basically understanding the language between your genes and the everyday food what you eat. And when there is synchrony or harmony or alignment between the food and the genes, then there is no fight between both of them, and the food body accepts that food very easily. Like we have heard, most of us, that we are a person is what he eats. But nutrigenomics goes one step deeper. It speaks about two important things when you eat food. One is how the genes is reacting to the food what you eat. So now to and make you understand this, there it just take two people individual having the same weight, same height, but they're eating the same food. But one person loses weight with that food, but the other person will store fat. Why? Because genetically they both are different. So if though they are eating the same food with the same body composition, the body reacts, the genes reacts to that food different, and the body reacts to it in a different way, and the outcome is different. So if we understand this genetic makeup of the person, then it is very easy to guide them with the right nutrition. And the second aspect is how food influences the genes. So to make you understand this, consider genes, like genes which we have, like the switches, you know which is already there. The moment you eat food, that will determine which switch will turn on or off. So there are certain foods that will switch on the genes, and there are certain foods which will switch off the genes. Like if you eat food which is full of colorful vegetables, fruits, they would turn on the switch of antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, And if you keep eating food which is processed food, then they will turn on the switch of inflammation in your body, and that will lead to many health diseases in future. So just knowing these switches, but very important is to know which switches are there in your body. And this is where you understand, when you understand your genetic makeup or your blueprint of your
I
body.
understand that eating mindful is what is right. Eating what is without any preservative or healthy. That's what I call people healthy eating.
Yeah.
Yes, we can do that. We know it that how we can eat healthy, but how does gene influence our healthy eating? I'm going to say if I have been eating all throughout my life. Good set of food, of course. And my family, we are Marwadis basically, and we make a lot of these sweet meats, and we have a lot of oily food also, which is like dal bati, churma, and many things like that. So that is our genes, and in our genes, if you have been a healthy person, you've been a healthy person, and that's where we've lived like that.
Mhm.
But do you think that nutrigenomics can break? Nutrigenomics can change that pattern of your body types, can change the pattern of your eating habits, typically, which you've been doing for years together, for generations together, I would say also.
See, we are born with the genes, and genes don't change. We are not here to change the genetic makeup because it is inbuilt in us. So, nutrigenomics just helps us to understand what exactly the genes are a strength for your body and which are the weaknesses for your body. So, you can cater your lifestyle when you can support your body at the level of genetic makeup. The part which is weak has to be supported well, and the part which is strong, you can work on that, and so that you get optimum health and wellness.
Yeah, so I have always worried, when I was young, I was always like the Golu Molu kind of a person, and of course, then that kept on going throughout. And I was like, I would never probably be able to, lean down or be something which is like a fit, lean body. That's what one would want.
Yeah.
But then I realized कि if I could just lose weight, which in COVID I had made it to about 60 kilos, and I was so thrilled and excited and happy that if I could achieve that, there was no problem. But did I actually maintain that? Did I, after the COVID left, and did I actually continue to look myself the way I wanted to look? So that never happened. I again rebound with about 20 kilos back again, and again I'm now in the process of losing weight. Now tell me, what is this a gene pattern of mine that I pick up weight loss, I again lose weight, and again have a weight loss, of course, with healthy eating and mindful eating, and maybe sometime intermittent fasting and many things which probably will add to. Frankly, I don't believe in any fad diets. I have never tried vegan foods or keto diet or any kind of name that you want to give to diet. I would never try such diets, but I would do a home cooked meal, but maybe portion control and things like that. So, could you just give more light on what exactly one should follow as a pattern to be able to have nutrigenomics support their system?
So, as you mentioned that you lost 20 kgs of weight, but again you bounced back with it. So that we see with most of the people, that because one thing I believe is losing weight is not difficult, but maintaining that lost weight is more difficult. And that will happen very easily if you would have lost weight by understanding your genetic profile. So there are certain genes in your body. I can say right now, even without you undergoing the test, because you've shared your experience, that there are FTO genes which are responsible for the obesity. Okay, FTO.
Okay.
They are the genes which are responsible for the obesity. That means you have tendency towards obesity. Your body has a tendency to store fat. Then there are genes responsible for the carbohydrate metabolism. So the way that your body is processing carbs, my body may not be processing carbs that way. There are genes which are responsible for insulin resistance.
Yeah.
There are insulin sensitivity, and all these are responsible for the fat storage in the human body. So a person who is having this FTO positive, like positive in the sense at high risk, I would say, they are having this risk of like carbohydrate sensitivity is high. You actually come to know whether your body is carb sensitive, protein sensitive, fat sensitive. So if the carb sensitivity is high in you, and if you're having insulin resistance high, I would make a diet which is again a home cooked food which you've been eating and you lost weight, but now it will be so precise that your carbs portion would not be more than 45% of your total diet. I would give you more protein rich food so that you do not bounce back with that weight, and you can make that as a lifestyle change. And when you understand that and you make it as your lifestyle, you'll be able to maintain that lost weight because you've understood the science behind it and then followed a diet. So that is how it becomes very precise and individualized.
I think I'm super thrilled. I'm sure my audience is super thrilled to know that if this test can be easily done, where,
Yeah.
how, and what would it cost them?
Yes, so this test is very simple. There is no big fear about it, and it is done with a simple saliva. We collect the saliva of the person, and there is a saliva kit which is there, and which is easily we courier it or give it to the patient at the doorstep. And there is a simple procedure which they have to follow, and we guide them through the procedure exactly how they have to collect the saliva with the antiseptic and precautionary measures so that there is no contamination. And then they send the sample back to us, and we send it to the medgenome lab at Bangalore for the reports to come. And let me tell you, the reports is like detailed 20 to 150 pages detailed report, and it speaks about many things about you apart than just the food. You get insight about various parameters about your which will help you to cater your lifestyle and your nutrition very precisely and in individual manner.
That interests me a lot because, like, I'm being into aesthetic and cosmetic world. I see a lot of acne patients. I see a lot of patients with PCOD
Yeah.
or hormonal imbalances and
Or
many problems
maybe
because of which weight.
infertility.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that is all because of the weight that they have,
Yeah.
and because so I think we are going for a treatment of what is to be first dealt with by the weight reduction. So most
Exactly.
of the time, when we want them to have the right food, right
Yeah.
nutrition, what can actually help is nothing but nutrigenomics.
Exactly. And as we um, discuss and as we have a look at our patients every day, as you rightly said, the number of youngsters suffering from hormonal anomaly
Absolutely.
is high.
Is high, very high.
Especially, many young boys coming with low
Oh,
sperm count, many young girls landing up with PCOS, many young girls landing up with early menarche or the period start very early.
yes.
So,
And
doctor,
that is
does
what we're seeing
nutrition
commonly.
have to play a role in hormonal balance as well as the reproductive life of a man and a woman?
Absolutely. Like if I say PCOS, which is so very common problem with females, the
Yeah,
menarche, when the menarche starts, the
yeah,
females are having this PCOS, they are suffering. So
yeah,
now, instead of giving a generic diet to them that, eat low carbs, that is what generally known, that eat low carbs, exercise more, and, your PCOS will improve. But now, two different females having the same problem, but then internally they have a different biology. One female may have with PCOS genes which are responsible for insulin resistance. One may have genes which are responsible for more inflammation.
yeah,
One may have a genes which are responsible for fat storage. So now, instead of that generic rule, we can actually plan their diet, which is very precise for them and which prevents this trial and error method. And at the same time, the right medication along with the right nutrition gives the fabulous results in all this condition.
exactly.
Now, makes me ask a question like, is it a good test to do maybe when you're just in your puberty? Or you want a child test also is okay? Or what is the time or the age that I
Which
should
is
have
the
a
Earliest,
cutoff
test?
age?
earlier
Yes.
is best. It's like
How early?
it can be as early as 2 years or 3 years.
Oh,
There's something called as students genomics. So student genomics is like you come to know about a child, all that you come to know about adult in terms of food intolerances, your vitamin levels, the way they have been processed in the body. You come to know about the health risk diseases which your body is meant for. So in the child, you also get insight about what sort of sports they are meant for. Like as a parent, we put them into any random thing thinking some form of physical activity is good. But here, if you know your child is meant for something with endurance, then you will actually put the child for like football or gymnastics or swimming. If you know your child is more to do with weights, then you will something to do more with calisthenic, where body weight is there. Now with the kids, the strength training also a very upcoming field, where it is believed the sooner the kids start with strength training, better is the bone density and the height and the growth.
yeah,
And apart than this, in student genomics, we also come to know about the learning pattern of the child. Like all child has a habit of just mugging up. By that time, certain children are meant for visual learning. Some children are meant for auditory learning. So if you know genetically if the child is meant for this pattern of learning, how effective you can cater their learning pattern also, and studies would become so easy for them. And apart than that, it speaks about the aptitude of the child, where you know about the innate quality which helps them to decide their career later on. Because if your innate quality is something matching with your profession, the success becomes much more easy in that professional field. So I think earlier is the best. I think the children are the first people I think the parents should think of to plunge into it, so that they can guide the complete, it acts like a GPS for the child, and so the rest of their life they can just follow that route. It's like, which traffic signal, which road you will not get the
I'm
traffic.
super thrilled with this idea. If this can happen at childhood, if I could actually identify a child who's going to definitely get bald in their youth or maybe afterwards, I would just block that gene for them. And if not that, of course, make them follow a lifestyle or a pattern, which probably they should retain their hair for really longer. So as a hair surgeon, I would want that, of course. What Satyajit would want. Uh,
Definitely, because nowadays we have many youngsters who are landing up with kidney stones.
yes.
Many men in their early 30s, early 40s, they are landing up with kidney failure and becoming dialysis patients. So, can nutrigenomics help to track patients or help to prevent kidney stones? Also, can nutrigenomics help us to predict and prevent medical kidney disease?
Absolutely, because in this study, we come to know about 200, more than 200 health risk diseases which you are prone to, which you may have just inherited from your parents or your ancestors. Not necessarily you will get that, but you come to know the risk of it. Like you mentioned, if you know somebody, like, if your patient, you come to know that he's having a tendency for alopecia, then how vigilant or aggressive will you be in your hair loss treatment with him, because you know that he's at risk of alopecia in future. In the same way, if you know that a patient is having going to is high risk at kidney diseases,
Yeah.
either CRF or kidney stones,
Yes.
you will be much more vigilant in giving the advice so that the patient will not get into that kidney stone diseases.
Yeah.
So you get insight about all these problems, because chronic health diseases like diabetes, if we say, which is so very common, does not happen overnight. The damage has been started years back.
Years back.
Only thing, we pick it up when we get the documentation of it in the blood report, or some symptoms arise. But what if years before you know that you're going to be prone for diabetes? How beautifully will you take care of your body and your diet and your exercise regime, that maybe that genes, just the button will not switch on, it will just always remain switch off, and you may not even get into diabetes.
Yeah.
It's really important to understand our body at the preventive health, rather than working only when we start getting the symptoms.
Exactly. I think prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
And who says better than a nutrigenomist, Dr. Rajshri Pandya? So, welcome back. And we have certain sort of beautiful questions, and of course, we are going to go for the rapid fire as well. But before which, let us find out what nutrigenomics have got to tell us about our genes and how our genes influence our food eating habits. And can we find out some examples, like from the food eating habits that we have on a day to day basis, that is affected by our genes? So, which are the foods that we should avoid or eat? Is it something to do with the general theme, or it is very specific to any specific people?
So genes are specific to each individual. They are made up with that framework. They are born with it, the right from the time they are conceived as from their parents. So now, to make it more simple, I would say, imagine you have seen DNA. So in that DNA, the genes have been there. So now consider DNA as your piano, and the genes on it is a key. So now, which keys you press will determine the sound which comes from the piano. So
Like I
same
have
way,
people who are intolerant to milk, that is lactose intolerance.
yes,
So that is a gene.
it's a gene. So there is a gene which is responsible for the less lactase. A lactase is an enzyme which is responsible for the digestion of the sugar of lactose of a milk. So if you're genetically, you are not having, or having a fault at the genes where the lactase has been produced in less amount, you will not be able to tolerate milk in that good form. And the surprising is, many times we do not see patient having an obvious symptoms with milk and milk products. You see that they tell me, मुझे तो कुछ भी नहीं होता है. I eat paneer, I eat milk, I drink milk, and I'm absolutely fine. But if genetically, if they are lactose intolerant, that means the food is causing that, milk is causing inflammation in the body, and it is affecting some other system which may be weak, and it is not showing the obvious symptoms of the gut, because the person's gut may be very strong. So at that time, we also come to know that, though that food may not have an obvious symptom of that system, but if you're sensitive towards that, it's always better to avoid it, so that you prevent the inflammation in your body, and which is responsible for the most of the chronic diseases.
Also about allergies, like food allergies. Like my nephew had this basic allergy when he was as a child, but as he keep growing bigger and now a youth, he does get sometimes with the allergy, but it's just a little tingling sensation or some kind of a rash around the mouth, but nothing major. But previously it used to be like rash all over the body and many things like that. So it's like a gene that has affected his that is basically
Yes.
the
So
gram.
basically, there are genes which are responsible for this hyper responsiveness in your body. And this hyper responsiveness can be in the form of skin eruptions, or it can be in the form of the respiratory illness also, in the form of bronchitis, asthma, recurrent cold and cough. So
Yes.
basically, the test helps you to find out whether you're prone towards allergies towards dust, or maybe smoke, or maybe food, certain food items.
All in one test. I feel
Yeah.
it's like we say ना कि एक कुछ बता दो. It's like an all in one. So I
So
would
your
say
body is, when we do blood test, we know our body at the level of the blood. When you do X-ray, you know your body at the level of bones. When you go still deeper, like CT scan, MRI, you know your body at the level of tissues, ligaments. But now you're going deepest, where you're knowing your body at the level of genes, which does not change. Genes remain the way it is, and we
even
are
the
not.
response to people who are taking nowadays a lot of vitamins.
Yeah.
Vitamin B12, D3 deficiency is seen worldwide, and every individual in some
Exactly.
part of his life, is on a therapy for long term duration.
Yeah.
Does the genetic pattern show that they are prone to getting vitamin D lesser in the body or vitamin D3 getting lesser in the body? B12
Absolutely.
getting lesser?
And that does not apply only for vitamin B12 and D. Like, unfortunately, we only focus on vitamin D and B12 when we do the blood test. But there are so many other vitamins. And this genetic test speaks about so many other vitamins, the way they have been absorbed and mineralized in your body, like vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin C, vitamin folate.
Yeah.
And even in B12, it speaks about, like, and as you said, it is very commonly seen, like, but in B12 you come to know whether there is a problem at the level of methylation of B12. So what is that? Your body has an ability to convert the B12 into an active B12, and then they get absorbed from your body. So cobalamin gets converted to methylcobalamin. But genetically, if you find out that there is a problem at this level of conversion, then giving person B12, which is only cobalamin, will never help him. That levels will not rise. You have to precisely give him methylcobalamin and methylfolate so that the methylation is activated. Like, I would give an example of one of my patients. His homocysteine levels was always remaining high. Homocysteine is a cardiac marker, as we all know. It has a high risk for the heart disease. And obviously B12 was low, and low B12 is responsible for increase of homocysteine. We gave so much of B12 to him, like supplements, but nothing was working. His levels would remain maybe around 200, 210, never go up, and homocysteine level would not go down. Now, getting this test done, we understood that there was a problem at the level of methylation, where B12 was needed in active form, and there was a problem at the level of the folate also. So he needed methylcobalamin and methylfolate together, and we shifted him to active folate, which has methylfolate and methylcobalamin. Within 3 months, the B12 level increased and homocysteine level went down. Just doing this simple change.
News, I mean to say, we are always into that rush that, okay, fine, just give one vitamin and we are done with it. But I
Exactly.
think to understand the vitamin science
Yes.
is also so important. Now,
Yes.
every details which Madam explained today, I think
Yeah.
we are enlightened. I think in a way that I am probably now going to think over my patients that who need the right kind of therapy is, I think, first get your genetic test done, फिर बात करते हैं.
Exactly. Also, when it comes to the supplements like calcium and vitamin D, nowadays many people are afraid if they consume calcium and vitamin D supplements, they may land up with kidney stones.
Correct.
So, does genetics play a role? How do you absorb calcium from the diet?
Exactly. So it also comes to know how the calcium has been metabolized. So if you are at high risk, you know that down the line you may need calcium as a supplement.
Yeah.
If at all you come with some symptoms where you feel calcium deficiency is coming up in you,
Yeah.
you'll be very vigilant and then start taking it promptly. Otherwise, you will ignore. At times, the documentation of certain things makes you more vigilant to take care and of those supplements, and
Exactly.
regularly do the intake of those supplements in a nice way. So that is how the nutrigenomics basically helps. It's like you exactly can plan your supplement regime rather than randomly taking, which is otherwise known in that B12, D3. Just take it for some time, give it a break, then take it for some time. One rule cannot apply for everybody.
Yeah, that's kind of again an insight. That's what most of the doctors do. They have a set of medicines that they know they have to give, and then they expect miraculous results, which I think for everybody is not just the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, about preservatives, I wanted to
Yeah.
ask,
So, can certain foods
yeah.
cause genetic mutation, or certain additives, or certain preservatives, or certain pesticides which stain the foods? Can they cause some amount of genetic mutation?
Yeah, so basically they switch on, as I said, considering like a switch on and off.
Yeah.
So that control of on and off is in our hands. Switches are
Yes.
going to be there. Switches are
Yeah.
the genes. They are there in the body.
Yeah.
But now what you put inside that will on and off that switch.
Okay.
So when you consume food which is with a lot of pesticides
Yeah.
and insecticides, you do not wash them properly,
Yeah.
they are going to switch on the genes of genetic mutation
Yeah.
and inflammation in your body. And inflammation is the root cause of any illnesses, be it a small cold and cough or major illness like cancer.
Yeah.
Everything, the beginning thing is inflammation.
Yeah.
So the moment you take care of not owning that inflammation genes in your body by taking care of the right lifestyle and nutrition, the automatically you prevent that mutation to happen,
Yes.
and you prevent the diseases which will happen because of the
Exactly.
mutation.
So, coming to inflammation, guys, the commonest test which every doctor does when he wants to check some inflammation in your body, number one is CRP, and number two is a good old ESR. So, madam, when have you put the patient on a nutrigenomic diet plan and you have monitored his or her ESR as well as CRP? Have you found a lowering of the CRP level?
Exactly. There is definitely, when you start eating according to your genetic makeup, you prevent the inflammation going down. And when we see that inflammatory genes are at high for them, we give specially the diet which will work as anti-inflammatory for them. For example, a simple turmeric and a pinch of pepper every day morning. If you tell the patient to consume or a client to consume, it acts as a beautiful anti-inflammatory for them, and
Yeah.
that itself, when consumed regularly, it decreases your CRP level. But
Yeah.
you have to be so precise and vigilant about giving that instruction only if you have that
Exactly.
documentation. You cannot give to every patient.
Yeah.
Then you have to tell them to eat certain foods which are rich in antioxidants like colorful vegetables, fruits.
Yeah.
Those precisely you have to tell that you have to eat it, so that the level of inflammation goes down in them. And even while taking the follow up of the patient, this becomes a follow up criteria whether this food consumption has been going in them or not, so that we know that along with the medication we are also taking care of the internal biology, for so that the inflammation does not increase and that CRP level comes down.
So how do you
Exactly.
take a follow up on these patients? I mean to say results are coming. You
Yeah.
might see them like just a well-being parameters, or you take
Absolutely
some
no.
kind
So
of
I have a
investigation.
complete protocol.
Okay.
Like, I do the genetic test,
Yes.
I get the genetic decoding done, I understand, I do a complete analysis of the genetic report, and then I plan a quantified diet for them which is actually meant for them, for their body framework, for their body composition, for their activity level. And then that calorie is been divided into protein, fats, and carbs based on their genetic study, that how sensitive the body is to carbs, how sensitive it is to fats, and how much protein is needed. Again, in protein, whether they need protein supplement or the food itself would be enough for them, that also you come to know from this genetic test. So based on that, I plan a diet. Then every 10 days there is a follow up which happens, where we track the person's progress in terms of weight loss, in terms of inch loss, so that we know how the person is responding. And also the clinical symptoms in terms of any inflammatory symptoms are there in the person, or any detoxification is at not so much in the person, then we track all those things, and again we modified the diet accordingly and tell them to follow it for the next 10 days.
So every 10 days you take this kind of a regular
Yes, it's
follow up with them.
every 10 days, and that hand holding is there at least for 3 months, because 90 days are required for some transformation to occur and for you to make a certain thing as your lifestyle change. So and it's said that anything been followed religiously for 90 days becomes a habit. So that's the reason I've at least kept a 3 months program for, for anybody to make those as a lifestyle change.
And so we know that apple a day keeps a doctor away. I think get your genes tested and get your diet in place keeps it away from everybody else. You don't have to visit any doctor ever. Probably that's what I can conclude from all the talks that is going on here right now.
Exactly.
And of course, to understand more about nutrigenomics, who better than what Dr. Rajshri Pandya can speak and tell us? Tell me, what is the future of nutrigenomics?
So nutrigenomics excites me, like, completely. When I plunge into this science, there were many different piece of puzzles which got solved for me. And I look it as a future of the preventive health, because nutrigenomics just does not tell you about your exact diet, but it speaks about the your potential, what potential an individual has, what are his strengths, and it also speaks about at what level he needs the support, whether it's level of vitamins, whether he needs the support at the level of inflammation. So you can support the person at the right place, at the same time you can work on the person's strength, so that overall you can give a better level of health and fitness to that person. So I feel it's the future of the preventive health, where you can prevent the disease and cater your lifestyle very individualized manner and in very precise manner.
No, I understand
Excellent.
that, of course, this is requiring the doctor's support and her inputs in a big way.
Yeah.
But do you think AI will take over this subject in a big way as well?
AI, in terms of interpreting the genetic
Everything.
report,
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
it can. But when it comes to, again, individualizing it, a human touch would be required,
Definitely.
because a person is just beyond the material thing of bones, blood, genes. The person is more with do with emotions, the psychology, and when we look at the patient, we deal with the mental and emotional wellness also, rather than only the physical wellness where the genes have been taken care
Absolutely,
of.
so well
Excellent.
said. I think
So
we are
coming
more
to the
psychologists,
emotional,
na? That's what
yeah,
I tell people. So the
exactly.
emotional aspect of
Yeah,
understanding how we are living life actually,
yeah,
mental health, which has been talked so much about in
yeah,
COVID. I think this is what it does. It also nutrigenomics reflects these things also.
exactly. So when it comes to the emotional health matter, so does nutrigenomics play a role in predicting which addictions will the individual get into?
Absolutely,
Some people
absolutely.
are into nicotine addiction. Some people are into caffeine addiction. So
So
does
here there is one section of addiction by itself. You come
okay,
to know your smoking addiction, you come to know your alcohol addiction,
yeah,
you come
and
to
this
know
can
your
be done
snacking addiction
as early as in teenage or
as
when
early as 3 years
3 years.
or 2 years. Like,
Yeah,
so imagine, if a teenager or maybe a child in his early 20s want to try this alcohol and smoking, but when they know that they are at risk of getting addicted to it,
addicted. Yeah,
they will be so careful in not plunging into it in a big way, because
exactly.
they have that information that my body is genetically get is prone to get
Getting
addicted to
addicted.
these substances. So might as well, if at all I want to consume, I let it be in a controlled and the social manner, which again I do not promote. But this awareness brings a lot of change in the person's attitude to consume the same substance.
This is beautiful, I think, and of
Beautiful.
course about mental health. I was wanting to ask about how would nutrigenomics affect the mental health.
So mental health, again, you come to know so many things about your personality in this test, that whether you are more prone towards depression, you're more prone towards anxiety, you're more prone towards panic attack. And if you may not have those symptoms, but innately, genetically, your genes are that way. So in certain life situation, when you come across and when you know that you are prone towards that, you will start taking care of your mental health in a
Most
way
certainly.
that you do not become the victim of those mental emotions and mental symptoms. So, and you also come to know about your innate personality qualities in this test. So whether you are, as a person, are you sympathetic, are you compassionate? If at times it may be you would have adapted those qualities over years of
Over
life, but at times it is in genes in
genes
you.
as well.
So
Yeah,
that helps you to even select the profession, I would say, because certain field like medicine, I would say, requires that human touch. You need that compassion, you need the sympathy to feel the opposite person's pain and
yeah,
symptoms. So those person having those qualities and selecting this profession would become much more easy for them. So even in terms of mental health, you get many information about person's basic innate mental qualities in this test.
So food can also influence your mental health. So
exactly.
I think
100%.
I binge eat whenever I feel depressed or when I feel that I've not been heard enough. So probably that also can
So,
be
in fact,
taken
it's
care
been
because
said
of
that
the
90% of serotonin, the happy hormone, is produced in your gut. So, that's
yes.
the reason, the food directly influences. There's a gut brain axis, which is so very strong. And most of the time, we see people, they eat because only as a psychological satisfaction. They may not be hungry, because
Yeah,
the serotonin has been produced in the gut. When you are disturbed, you eat, and the serotonin is produced, and that gives you a temporarily happy moment.
Exactly. And does nutrigenomics also help you to select your diet depending upon certain tasks you're about to do? For example, students who are preparing for an examination, will nutrigenomics guide the diet of the student, which he
So
can?
because in the students, if we know that the genetic level, they have a issue with omega 3, which is responsible for your brain
Yeah,
memory and concentration.
yeah,
We can supply the children with a good amount of omega 3 rich
yeah,
food, and if required, even with the supplements, especially with vegetarians,
yeah.
because those omega 3 is not very, it's an animal source, is easily found in
Exactly,
animal source. So in
exactly,
that way we can definitely support. And trust me, it's a holistic, we have to look at the holistic picture. So overall, if the food metabolism of the child is being catered in a proper way, what is meant
yeah.
for the child, automatically his concentration and in memory power is going to make a difference, rather than just blindly following some generic diet.
Exactly.
I think that insight and that knowledge that has been shared. I still have this one little question I want to ask now. Of course, nutrigenomics is the future.
Yeah,
Nutrigenomics is the way to find how your genes are responding to what food you eat and what you should eat rightly so that you can be your best. I would to say your real best. So tell me what you wish to give in to the nutrigenomics structure as your inputs in the near future.
So if you ask me that what one message I would want to live on this topic to my audience or the people listening to this, I would say that, instead of asking which is the healthiest diet or which is the best diet for me, ask which is the healthiest diet and best diet for me, rather than something which is very general. As we say, one shoe cannot fit everybody, one diet plan will not work for everybody. Each one of us is unique, and so should be our nutrition. So I think with nutrigenomics, you can plan your lifestyle for the rest of your life in very, very precise way, individualized way, which is meant for you. And you'll be much more confident in living that life, that fine, it is documented that these things are meant for me. It's not meant for somebody else. And let me just consistently follow it. Results are bound to come.
yeah,
Absolutely. You don't want to go wrong. You want to be absolutely sure, 100% sure. Your genes will tell you what you are all about. And yes, food makes you, food breaks you, and food is what you are made of. So
yeah.
remember, when you eat right, you're actually your right personality as well. So get the best personality, and who else better than Rajshri Pandya? So, absolutely, me as a hair transplant surgeon and all my patients who are undergoing hair loss, hair therapies, or treatment programs, would I want to actually first ask them to see a nutrigenomist and actually find out that yes, your genes are responsible for a lot many things for what you're eating and your hair is growing back or no? Yes, why not even Satyajit?
Or me as a urologist and an andrologist for men and women who are suffering from repeated kidney stones or men dealing with infertility. I should definitely ask them to get a nutrigenomic test done.
And absolutely, this medical fraternity waits orthopedic surgeons, nephrologists, you're talking of urologists, or anybody for that matter in other fields like medical fields
Medical
typically,
fields like
which
diabetologists, endocrinologists.
everyone, I think everyone today needs to first get their genes fixed and definitely have their patient load not reduced, but to make them live a better life, make them live a life of discipline, make them live a life of understanding their genes so that they can have a better future.
Since prevention is definitely better than cure.
We at Health Decoders, the Medical Mythbusters, welcome you and say the best for yourself and your family.